optimistic scenario that everything works out perfectly. And in my experience, something goes wrong, even though you can't say what it is that's going to go downhill.
You know, Komal, good point. This is Frank Holland here at Post 9 with Sarah. The two wars certainly and the geopolitical tensions weighing heavily on the Eurozone, but right now we're talking about the U.S. One other thing I know you're looking at, this is actually Sarah's wheelhouse, the dollar down more than 4% in Q4. How does that factor into your thesis that we could be facing a possible recession?
What the dollar weakness is saying is that the global markets have decided that the Fed really is going to keep going on its easing cycle. What Powell said in his press conference on December 13th, which again was contrary to what he said December 1st, the December 13th speech is what the markets are taking into account. We have had lots of contradictions from different Fed members, agreeing, disagreeing with the chairman. But the chairman's view is what prevails. And what is the dollar doing today? It is weakening to show that interest rates are going to be significantly lower in the future. But the point I'm making here is it happens not because inflation comes down, Frank, that it happens because something breaks in the system, and that forces the Fed in turn to cut interest rates even as you have a recession. Think 2008. Think 1998, I think we are looking for some form of a repeat of a breakage within the system rather than a recession occurring by itself.
Yeah, I mean, if that happened, Sri, wouldn't Europe and Asia be in worse shape economically than the U.S.? It's interesting that the dollar's been so weak.
This guy is smart. I think he's onto something.
Their economies aren't as
because I agree. I think something's going to break in the system.
You're absolutely correct, Sarah. Indeed, the dollar weakness is showing, first of all, that the Fed is going to ease initially. What I've been telling clients is that the dollar is going to move between $1.05 and $1.10. Today, of course, it's slightly more than $1.10 for a euro. I think once the European Central Bank starts to cut interest rates, you may see the dollar strengthening a bit. But that is the range in which it's moving. And the Fed is going to be the first mover. The Fed is going to be the bigger mover. And that's what the dollar exchange rate is telling you. With the exception, Sarah, of the Japanese yen, which is again completely different dynamics in terms of what the Bank of Japan may do with its yield curve control. With the exception of that, the dollar, I think, for the next couple of months is due for further weakening. But after that, we'll see which other central banks are going to ease.
So really quickly, Sri, your biggest opportunity you see, is it continuing to buy bonds? Is it selling stocks as you think that they have some catch up to play on the economic weakness? Where's the biggest dislocation?
I think the big play is going to be on bonds. Short term, you can park your cash in short term treasury securities. Longer term debt, 10 and 10 year also looks very good still, despite the rally that we have had over the last 4 weeks.
Well, you've been bond bullish before in other cycles and been right on that, Sri. Thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Bit of a
Thank you,
contrarian
Sarah
call.
and Frank.
Yes.
All right, we're going to shift
sure.
gears a bit.